Welcome, everyone, to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited to share Diana with you this afternoon. And welcome, Diana.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
So I can't wait to get to hear your story and your journey that led you to what you're passionate about today. So, start wherever you would like.
Okay, I will. I'll start with that I call myself a recovered corporate misfit. And I did my corporate stint because I wanted to make as much money as a man and was willing to work twice as hard for it. I'm that generation. And it was fine, I learned a lot. But what happened for me was a few things. One thing was that I got very sick because I was trying to do something that was not in alignment with my soul. And
Yeah.
number two was, and even that wasn't enough. But number two was that my son came home from school one day and said he hated school. And that was the catalyst for me because, I always felt like, well, you know what? My kid might be screwed up, but at least I have to feel like I gave it my best shot. So at the time, I had, my job, and then I had my sort of avocation or my calling was being a non-denominational minister. And I have my master's degree in holistic health education and counseling. And I was doing very personalized ceremonies, weddings, and all the ceremonies, and also doing marriage prep and relationship coaching. So I took one of those, I call it that cosmic kick in the butt seminar where you go, I'm quitting my job in 6 months, and it was sort of like the landmark of the 90s. And sure enough, I got a offered to for a voluntary layoff with 30 days notice. So I was like, okay, God, thank you. So I took the leap and I decided to turn my avocation into a business, which was called, it was Blessings to You. And I turned it into a business. So super, super, super long story short, I did that for 20 years. I was very successful at it. And I was among the top paid ministers in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was doing 100 weddings a year. I had six other ministers. And how I became so successful was in the last 10 years, I got ahead of the curve and cracked the code and figured out how to get to the top of Google and how to get my leads from the internet. And during that time, it was great because I got to, be a stay-at-home and a working mom, and I got to help found a charter school for him. And it was a great opportunity and it was a great life. But then it got to a point where it was like, okay, I feel complete with this calling. And it was about 5 years before I was really done. And it's a very intense life. You have no weekends. And I mean, that's kind of why I have the other officiants so that I could at least have some weekends free. And I loved the work, but it was like, okay, I need a different life. So during my sort of off season, I would help the other wedding officiants, I mean, the other wedding professionals with their internet marketing, because, people were like, whoa, what are you doing? So I got someone to the top of Google with wedding photographer, and I'm like, okay, this is fun, and I like this, and it really it spoke to my creativity, and it spoke to my it was fun for me. So in 2008, I decided to stop doing weddings, and I transitioned into my current business, Whole Heart Marketing. And I decided to bring all my gifts and skills and talents as a coach and a visionary and spiritual person and my inner geek, and I combined them all together to start to help people who were healing the world with who they are and their businesses by getting them visibility. And back then it was, getting to the top of Google and doing all that. Well, then social media happened. And, as a spiritual being, I went through like 3 rounds of really, God, Facebook, this is my life, because it just felt so contrary to who I was. And then I had an epiphany and I realized, social media is a powerful force for positive change in the world if we're using it that way. And,
Right.
I always quote, Ralph Waldo Emerson says, every sweet hath its sour. And it's like, that's what I realized. It was like that became my mission. So my mission is to raise the consciousness of social media so that we can use social media to raise consciousness and create global healing. And that is what I am committed to. It's been 17 years now. I actually only recently went through, I'm just being totally transparent here, went through another round of Really God Facebook because of everything that's been happening, and came back around again to, yes, social media. It's not only Facebook. I mostly focus on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, although I am opening up more to YouTube. But it's like, it's, it's, it's a tool for us to use. And the thing that is true is that, uh, social media has two components. It's user generated content, that's us, and ads. So if we don't play, then it's just ads. So number one, the platforms need for us to play on social media, and we can use it however we want to use it. And that's what I want to inspire people, is to use it as a powerful force for positive change in the world.
It's funny because, we were talking before we came on that we're very similar. And I haven't really thought about it in that way. I mean, I know what my own personal vision and mission with the Women's Empower Network, that I remember back early days, I think I was 3 days into it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is international. And now I've interviewed women even from Pakistan and Iraq and Africa. I mean, all, even third world, what we consider third world countries. And I've come to find out that we're not different.
Right. It's
The
true.
citizens of the world, we really are all good at heart and love one another and want what's best for each other. So I
Yeah.
love the way your presentation, the way you think about it, about raising the consciousness of the world, not just our town or our country, or you know
And we're all
that we're
connected, and we're
yeah,
getting more and more connected, and this world is getting smaller and smaller every day.
right.
I
Well,
mean,
and
if you
that's a
think of,
beautiful thing because it's kind of like the truth comes to light now. It can't be hidden anymore.
right, we live in a world of transparency. And if you think about it, we are all only 6 degrees away from everybody in the world. And
Well, I think that was in the 70s. I think it's less than that
it
now.
is right at the most. And then
Right.
take that to say that each of us represents at least 50,000 people in our own sphere of network. I mean, we're connected to everybody, and we all I used to say this a lot, but I'll say it. I used to call the internet the great equalizer. Remember that show, The Equalizer, that was on, not the current one, but the old one with the I forget the guy's name who was, I mean, it's kind of this, the current one is similar, but the first one is the one I was referring to. Anybody
Okay.
can be successful, and anybody can do whatever they want to do. And like, the truth of the matter is there's room for everybody, and everybody gets exactly what they're looking for. And that's what we all have to take responsibility for our part in social media, in everything that's happening in the world, but we'll just keep it to social media right now.
For some reason, The Wizard of Oz comes to mind, where we finally can pull back the curtain, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and that, we've all been duped, you know,
Yeah.
and
Right.
not anymore. And
No.
once we take that, complete responsibility and really understand that we're each creators and how to do that,
Right.
um, it gets really exciting really fast.
Yes. Yes, it does.
It does. And then being able to bring as many people with us as we can.
Right, exactly. And so that's basically what I do. And most of the people I work with are, I used to say boomer women entrepreneurs, but now I just say 45 plus, because a lot of the ones even under boomer age are. And it's like people who weren't born with a mouse in their hand, and they really just don't know what to do. Right. And, knowledge is power. And so even people who are using it to promote their causes or activism, or they're just trying to guide their kids, people need to understand social media. And that's really what I'm about, because, I teach the fundamentals. I teach universal social media principles that are evergreen. They're not I mean, I teach the techniques of the latest, social media du jour. Again, like I said, I focus on like I always say, Facebook is really the mothership. So I focus on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But the fundamentals of how social media works are the same on all platforms, and you just have to go where your people are. But you don't have to do them all. That's the other thing. Thank God, because it's just a lot.
Yeah, it is, and I remember thinking a couple years ago when I got recertified as a life coach because I wanted, it had been 20 years and, what are the new techniques? What are the new
Mhm.
ways to do it? And I remember I was, starting from scratch because we talked about I was retired for 10 years. And it was kind of like a maze out there because it was always in person one-on-one. I wasn't in the social media or on Zoom
Right,
or any of that. And there's, I know there's a lot of we don't think about it, but a lot of people have fear about being seen or coming out or
right,
making mistakes or whatever. So um,
right. That
I'm
was,
here to tell you if this oldie can do it, you can. And not that I
well,
feel like an oldie whatsoever, but um, as we talked about, I still feel 30, absolutely. Um, but there's just a whole new, it's so exciting. And I love that you do this and that you can help people. I know there's a lot of people in our group, including myself, that could use your services. So how could somebody get in touch with you?
I just want to say one thing about the before I say that, what you were talking about, that is a huge issue, is people feeling that fear of feeling too vulnerable, too overexposed, feeling afraid of being that visible, afraid of making a mistake in front of 3+ billion people. And so it is a big issue, which is combined, which is, when you think about, like, all right, some people, they know how to do it, but they're still not doing it. And this is an area that I really help people with. And I have a website, which is wholeheartmarketing.com. And I teach a free class almost every month on just it's like sort of my contribution to humanity. It's really about understanding social media. And it's a fundamental class that people leave and they're like, oh my God, it's like it opens people's minds up to the possibilities and makes it feel so much easier and more doable. And then I do one-on-one coaching and consulting. I teach however people want to get it. It's like if you want to come to a group coaching, if you want one-on-one, I do some done for you clients, whatever people need, but it's all on my website. And I have a Facebook group. It's wholeheartmarketing.com with Diana Concoff. I mean, it's Whole Heart Marketing with Diana Concoff Morgan. Yeah, there it is. I know we're going to put it in the chat.
Yes,
Um,
well, we're going to put it above this interview so it
oh,
makes it
okay.
really easy for people to find. Um, that is, I'm so excited, and of course, my mind is just spinning with ideas that we can talk about after, because this is really valuable, and I just love your perspective about raising the consciousness and just having that mindset when you're going forward with that and not, I think too, when we take our attention off ourselves and we put it the focus on how we can be of service, it's kind of like all that just is kind of like noise, it goes away.
Exactly. That's always what I say to people about like the video thing, like get over yourself. When you think about how you can help people, that's how I'm a recovered video phobic. I mean, I am. I was like, and I have strategies for how to get over yourself with video from
Oh
my own
yeah, I
experience.
had to struggle because I consider myself, I am an introvert. But it doesn't seem like it when I'm on camera and I'm talking because I
Right.
do love connecting one-on-one. I love intimate relationships. So people don't see that side, you
Right.
know.
And I am also a total introvert. So for whoever's wondering, can introverts, and a lot of my stuff is really focused on introverts, although it's for anybody, but I really get the introvert experience of doing social media. I mean, it took me 6 weeks to push send on my first blog.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So anybody, if I can do it, anybody can
Right?
do it too.
We're taking away all your excuses.
There you go.
That's beautiful. Well, before we go today, are there any parting words of wisdom you would like to share with us?
Yes, you know what? Here's my parting words. Please don't quit Facebook because, Facebook is not going away. So don't let yourself be silenced by the negativity, by the energy. I talk a lot about the energetics of social media too, and how we get so overwhelmed so that you can understand what's happening to you. But stay in there and be heard and be seen because your message matters. And, you might be, you probably will be saving someone's life by staying on Facebook and being heard and seen.
That's so true. Thank you for saying that, because you never know who you're going to touch.
That's
And it
right.
takes all of us.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, Diana. It's been such a pleasure.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.